Welcome to YorkZuki.com Insights. Today I want to talk about persistence and stubbornness. When do you call it quits with your business or your business idea? We entrepreneurs are notoriously optimistic and positive, otherwise probably we wouldn't be entrepreneurs. We always believe that our lucky break is just around the corner if we persist just a little bit. If only we had a bit more funding, if only that big client would sign. There's a lot and perhaps too many ifs in our journey. So after 27 years in business, I want to share some insights around my experiences and around what I've seen. As a way of background, I am an entrepreneur since over 12 or 13 years. I've started quite a number of businesses. Some of them were a catastrophic failure. Some of them did quite well. One of them even became a case study that is used by Harvard to showcase doing business in Africa. I have had quite a lot of experience also in terms of supporting startups and SMEs. One of our solutions was used in over 83 countries supporting small businesses. Also share a number of government funds for startups. And the point here is I've seen a lot. And so often get asked, do we continue? How much longer? How many more years or months do we persist? How many more friends and families do we borrow from in terms of just to survive a little bit longer? So I want to share with you 7 perspectives, 7 points that I think may help you in deciding whether to continue with your business or whether to shut it down. The first point, I call it the nuclear power plant syndrome. If you know anything about nuclear power plants, this is how that business model works. A government puts out a tender and says, hey everybody, or expression of interest, hey everybody, we're interested in nuclear power. You get a lot of companies from around the world, from Russia, from Germany, from America, putting proposals on the table, and almost always these incredibly costly proposals are priced way below, sometimes a third of what it'll actually end up costing. So the reason for that is that they're making it cheap enough for the government to say, yes, we're going to embark on that. A couple of years pass, the money is slowly being burned, and then what happens is that the companies go to the government and say, well, you've already spent hundreds of billions. We are not even halfway there. Would you like to top it up? We are really sorry. This didn't go well. This didn't go well. Suppliers went out of business. We need a new blah, 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 blah. And no politician worth their salt who has elections to think about has the guts to say, oh, really? Well, okay, then we're going to cancel that project. That's the problem that many entrepreneurs face. They invest so much money, energy, sweat and tears and blood, invest so much in building the reputation, the networks, the prospects, the clients, the systems, that you are too invested to be able to think clearly, to be able to cut it, because it's too close to you. You just put too much of your life in there. And I want to invite you on that perspective to think about all your investment in a slightly different angle that might help you detach a little bit from the business. Here's what I recommend. Don't see the years, the sweat, the blood, and the tears that you put in your business as a wasted expense. Think of it as investment into your knowledge, reputation, networks. So you've actually invested in your education. I promise you that education, that investment is worth gold, which leads me to the second point, which is exactly this. You are in every step of your entrepreneurial journey, whatever businesses you started, it's never going to be the ultimate business you end up with. I always joke that a business plan, the business model rather, will probably change between 5 to 30 times within the span of 5 years. The pricing you have on day one, you may still have the logo and the company stay the same, but if you look at successful companies, very rarely did they start on day one with a business and after 5 years it's the same business. The only thing that's constant might be the shareholders. Well, even that is disputable, because you always need new shareholders as you grow. but you might have a founder still there, the company name, and some description in the sector it's in. And so what we often think is, oh my goodness, these businesses have been growing, and why am I not growing? The reality is that these businesses failed. They may not have gone bankrupt, but internally they constantly reappraised the business and the business models and the revenue and the pricing and the product range and the services that they offer, so that actually it looks 6 months ago and today it looks nothing the same. So actually what they did is really, by all purposes, close the business and reinvent it from scratch. But from the outside perspective, it looks like it was a continuous journey. And this is what I invite you to think of it as well. Don't be stuck on the business model. Be stuck on the destination you want to take your company. You created the company to solve a specific problem. Maybe it's ending hunger, ending poverty. Maybe it's providing cheaper electricity. Maybe it's better phone covers. Maybe growing vegetables that are GMO-free. Whatever the case may be, that's your end goal that you've got to be focused about, not how you get there. How you get there sometimes has to be chopped and changed so much that it changes completely. The third point is, this is a very personal thing. Having gone through a couple of failures myself, is that no failure is a smooth process. It is exceptionally painful. There's really gut-wrenching moments. You feel like total shit. You feel like, you got staffed, but you have to fire. You got contracts, the rent that you cannot pay, suppliers that you have to write horrible letters to, and you absolutely feel rock bottom. And that's okay. And there's nothing I can say that'll make you feel better. So know that that's not the end of the journey. That's a process to pull out a tooth that was rotten. And it's going to be painful, and you're going to feel it for a while. But time is a phenomenal healer. So the longer you stretch a decision to pull out the tooth, the longer you're going to feel the pain. Rather go to the dentist, even get help. If we take analogy training, get people who know how to close a business, who can help you, can provide guidance and a shoulder to cry on. Do it maybe together, close that business over the course of a week, a month, and just breathe. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel like shit. You think everybody is judging you. But the reality is most people won't judge you. Some assholes will maybe say a nasty word or two. Do you really care about? You don't need their support. Most people will have full understanding. And that leads me to the point that entrepreneurship is one of the hardest juggling acts ever. If anybody tells you it's easy, they haven't gone through the journey yet. If anybody tells you, well, being an entrepreneur, you sell a couple of things, you build it, how can you make mistakes? They're probably employed and don't know what they're talking about. Entrepreneurship, you are juggling staff, pricing, customers, prospect, marketing, sales, product development, R&D, service, systems, processes. The amount of things that can go wrong, even for the most incredibly talented and intelligent amongst us. Look, I don't know what you think about Elon Musk, but if you admire him the way I do, did you know that Elon Musk was essentially bankrupt a couple of times, even with Tesla and SpaceX? I think it was a couple of years ago, he was 1 week away from having to close either Tesla or SpaceX, and then he got a last-minute contract he had been working on many months with NASA. That saved the business. Even the rockets that he just sent up, he said, had we had 2 more failures in the pre-testing of a rocket launch, we would have shut down SpaceX. And this is somebody who is exceptionally talented, and you can follow him and see that he seems in control of everything. And by his own admission, entrepreneurship is exceptionally hard. So pull out the tooth if you must. But, and this leads me to point number 5, don't think of it as a reflection when you pull the tooth out, as a reflection of your abilities or who you are. It is not. Yeah, you have fucked it up. You screwed it up. You were the one. But this is not about you. Like I just said, entrepreneurship is incredibly hard. It's just too much at stake. There's no possible way that you can manage every single aspect well, especially in a resource-constrained environment. Not enough funding, not enough staff, not enough resources. So don't judge yourself as a reflection of yourself. On point 6, often I'm asked, what's the difference between persistence and stubbornness? Well, I had to write it down. To the risk of oversimplifying it, I would define it as follows. Stubbornness is if you're saying, if only I had more clients, if only I had more funding, then you know you're being stubborn because you're looking for hope. You're basing yourself on probably the biggest enemy of us entrepreneurs, which is hope. When you base yourself on hope, you're not working on what's fundamentally wrong. You're not really correcting the root causes of your business. When you're being persistent, on the other hand, you're listening to clients. You're going, is that what you said? Okay, you're not buying it because it's too complicated, or the offering is too pricey, or I'm putting too much in one egg, rather split it up into small chunks so it's much easier to buy into. Persistence to me is seen in entrepreneurs who make the hard cuts. They get rid of the staff that wasn't adding value to the business. They change a business model. They really make gut-wrenching decisions of cutting costs to the nth degree, maybe moving away from the office back to the parents or into the garage. It doesn't matter, but they're really taking the hard steps because they believe in what they're doing. And they're prepared to make the hard choices. That's, in my view, when you're being persistent. Which brings me to point 7. Many entrepreneurs are so stuck on our business. No, but we've developed this software and this is what it does and this is how we price it and these are our clients. We're so stuck on the business model, on the business that we've developed, that stops us from looking at what we've done with fresh eyes. Let me give you a tip. Try to focus, like I said at the beginning, not on your business model, but what it is that you were trying to achieve. What did you go into business in the first place for? Without sounding too fluffy, think about this way. For example, let's say you were starting clinics because you wanted to help more people get healthier. Or you started a software because you wanted people to use less electricity with the geysers. Or whatever the case may be, the purpose, the mission, the destination may still remain the same, but you may decide that the boat you build to reach a destination, in the cliche or in the analogy, in the stormy seas of commerce, you built a boat with little knowledge. It was a little frail boat because you didn't have a lot of money, wooden planks and all that, a nice sail made out of underwear. And you started the journey on this little frail thing. And knowing this is a boat that should take you to the destination, ending world hunger, ending poverty, helping people, whatever the case may be. And then the oceans were too rough. The oceans of commerce, of demand, made it so difficult for you that you had to say, you know what, this is not the right vessel to reach a destination. I went out, I tried it, and I got feedback from the market that I, in my format, am not ready for the market. Go back to port. Change the boat. Work. Take all the lessons from your short journey. You built the boat last time with metal, now to use steel. The sail was out of underwear, terrible analogy. Now use a proper sail or use sheets from your bed. My point here is every little attempt, every time you started a business, you will have gained an enormous amount of knowledge, which you can now take back to port. And this is the thing. Remember this. If you are on a small vessel which is not suited to reach the end destination, you are going to be drowning out there. You're going to spend all your energy and time plugging the holes, taking the bucket and throwing all the water out. And so my point here is, try to sometimes think of going back to port as an opportunity for you to take a breather. So sometimes stopping a business, calling it quits, so to speak, is not calling it quits on your life's ambition. It's just calling it quits on that vessel. You go back to port and don't immediately build another one and shoot out the gates. Take 1 month, take 3 months, take 6 months to just absorb. You need time and space. Go for walks with pen and paper like this. Write down notes. Write down what have I learned, what worked, what didn't. Be honest about it. And then go, and as you're writing, you'll come, okay, that didn't work, this is what, and you'll be absolutely blown away by the learnings that you had. And these learnings incorporated in the next vessel, in the next business model, are going to be absolutely phenomenal. And if you're still in the same sector, if ending poverty is still your goal, the networks that you created, the reputation, is you can use it again. It's going to make you hit the ground running much faster. And so I hope that helped a little bit. I end with perhaps a saying that I often have for entrepreneurs that have gone through failure, and it's this: failure is the best fertilizer for your next business idea. So on that note, I hope this helped. Know that you're not alone. Every entrepreneur that's worth their salt has gone through failure. It is not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection, it's a feedback of a market that your business idea as it wasn't yet ready to be accepted. And if you're still struggling, feel, or need a shoulder to cry on, drop me a mail. Hope it helps. Happy entrepreneurship.